first thing that we have to talk about, go ahead and jump on my back. The first thing that we have to talk about is whenever someone's on your back, they have the hooks and they have the seatbelt, right? The hooks prevent your hips from getting to the mat, and the seatbelt prevents your shoulders from getting to the mat. That's a very basic concept. And then whenever someone's has the seatbelt, the top arm's always the choking arm, right? So the first thing, and I see this taught wrong all the time, and it's people just say like, yeah, get a grip on like the choking arm. But if you do this to me, I will choke you right through this. Like I'll just force my hand right through your grip. You have to cover somewhere around their hand and their thumb. Again, I'm not grabbing the individual thumb, but I'm covering the very end of the lever near the hand. The hand is what chokes you, not the arm. This won't protect you from anything. Even if you have two arms here, if you attended my rear naked choke seminar, you'd know that this will not help you. So I have to hand fight, and I want to feed it into a cross grip. Okay, if he goes for a choke right now, initially this cross grip is like really bad. So I fight for initially a same side grip to peel the choke down, and then you keep it with a cross grip. And again, I'm not way up here on the wrist. I'm way down at the end of the lever near the thumb and the fingertips. Okay, so this is the first step, is getting to this cross grip on the choking hand. If he connects his hands, connect your hands. Yep. Anyway, you just connect them. No, like underneath on the seatbelt. Yeah. When they connect their hands, you can pull on the wrist to help you bring it down in front of you. But I need to get to a position where I'm actually holding his hand. Even if his hands are still connected, I need to be able to push on the end of the lever. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoulder shrug and force my other wrist through. And I'm going to disconnect. Okay, so this is the basics of hand fighting. As he goes for chokes, I defend the choke, and then I get to a cross grip position. And even if he has his hands connected here, it's going to be hard to just push this out. So I thread my hand through, and then I'm basically connecting like a key lock, like I'm going to do a Kimura. And then I start stretching, and then I can start to make a shield. Now that the hands are disconnected, I can get my shoulders to the mat. So all I have to do is work a little bit of leg work here, where because this is the choking side, he's going to try to keep his chin really tight here, so he's got his head nice and tight. So it's going to be hard for me to just push my head sideways. But now that the hands are disconnected, I sit up and then I post on my far toes, and now I drive my head into the mat, and now I can start rotating and facing my partner. Okay, you'll hear this all the time from coaches: get your shoulders to the mat, get your hips to the mat. But if he connects on this seatbelt, and then I just am like trying to get my shoulders to the mat, he just stays there, especially if he brings his chin forward and he's got good head positioning. No matter how hard I try to get my shoulders to the mat, I can never do it. So I'm not even going to try to get my shoulders to the mat until I win the hand fight battle. So again, if he goes for the choke, I have to pull it down with the same side. I'm at the end of the lever. I keep it with a cross grip. And then even if he still has his hands connected here, I'm going to shrug my shoulder up as I push the wrist forward to get my other hand through. Now, there's no way he can get to this choke, and I'm going to keep pushing until that grip breaks. And then right away, I'm going to do a sit up, and then I'm going to bridge to force my shoulders down. And now it really doesn't matter how we get out of that. We can go to closed guard. We can try to wrestle up to side control. It really doesn't matter. We're just focusing on getting our shoulders to the mat. But step one in every back escape is get safe. And that's going to be feeding, finding the cross grip on the choking arm. And now I need to disconnect their hands. So I push and I shrug at the same time. I push their hand forward and I shrug my shoulder, and then I weave inside. Once their hands break, I do a sit-up, and then I bridge diagonally, okay? And this is all just to get my shoulders and my head to the mat. So on the seatbelt, I wouldn't go from here because he's either going to choke me or I'm just going to get caught up, right? So initially I'm pulling stuff down. If he starts going for the actual choke, I go for the end of the lever. I'm at the hand here. I pass it off to my cross grip, right? If he just stays with his hands disconnected, I could just go. But we're going to pretend that he connects his hands here. So now I'm going to push on the wrist, shrug, and then I bring my other wrist inside. I can grab my own wrist. You can try to do this. I don't like doing the prayer hand thing that I've seen, but I make more of like a key lock. And as I keep shrugging, I keep pushing until the hands disconnect. I sit forward as far as I can, and I bridge off my toes to drive my head and my shoulders into the mat. And now we start turning into our partner, and then the odds are you're going to end up in their closed guard, and then we can just reset. Okay. But this is like the most basic escape. But a lot of people just teach it like, yeah, just shimmy your shoulders down, and it's not that easy, okay? So we have to defend the choke, keep the cross grip, and now I'm using my shoulder and my hand together to break, and now we can get our shoulders to the mat, okay? Any questions on the very basic, like day one, defend the choke, get the shoulders to the mat? No? Let's try this real quick. On three. 1, 2, 3. Okay, Mike, let me use it real quick. So if I have him do it real quick, because I'm a bigger guy, so I'm going to take his back just to reiterate this real quick. Right, the top arm's the choking arm. So the only threat here is my right arm going for the choke. So he pulls it down, he keeps the cross grip, and then see how you kind of struggle getting that hand in? Shrug your right shoulder up as high as you get. There you go. Now get your hand in. There he goes. So now even if I try to keep my hands connected, he's created all this space. So even if he doesn't disconnect my hands, because I got these long ass arms, he's gonna still make a little bit of separation by sitting forward. And I see how I lost a little bit of that pinch. Now he's gonna bridge his head to the mat towards the left. Yeah, hard. And now I'm trying to keep I can't. And we're gonna scramble up. I'm gonna try to get to mount. He's gonna try to get to close guard. Okay. Does that make sense for that basic one? Yeah. Getting the shoulders to the mat like that. So the one that I was taught as a lower belt was, as we're grip fighting, you like force the arm all the way over the head. This I've never done to somebody my size. I do it to people smaller than me. So I don't think that one's very legit. I want to get to my cross grip, fight inside with my shoulder and my hand, and then I want to try to fight, again, his arms on one side, his chin and his head's on the other. I'm disconnecting the grip, and I'm trying to get rid of this connection. And now I'm bridging, and now I'm getting out of that position. So that making sense? Yeah. Before we move on. Okay, so the other thing with hand fighting is this. Not all people hold the seatbelt. I'm one of the people where I grab same side. And I showed this little bit of this part at the crucifix seminar already. But you gotta learn how to break this grip. So go ahead and hold on. You gotta learn how to break this grip. And I can't tricep extend away from me because it's not strong. So I'm gonna pinch my elbow into my body and drive all my body weight onto the forearm. And then I straighten my arm to break this. So if someone's controlling your arm one-on-one, by all means I could use my secondary hand, but now he could just fire up and choke. So I want to have this secondary hand still defending the choke until I can get to my cross grip. But he's holding on here. So I fall, and I'm going to pull my elbow into my ribs tight, and I'm going to drive off my foot. And then I just straighten my arm, and the grip breaks really easily. Now I can go back to doing this, sitting forward, and then actually bridging and getting out of my position, okay? But this is all hand work. I'm using my hands. At the same time, my legs have to be doing leg work, all right? So what that means is, as I'm doing all this stuff, trying to get safe, sit forward, and do this, I can also be working to get rid of hooks. So I'm fighting hands, I'm fighting the seatbelt with my upper body, and I can also work to deal with hooks. I'll talk a little bit about falling to which side. But the main thing is they're trying to curl their heels to their butt and pinch their knees together. I need to turn, and right now, I can't turn my hips because these hooks are doing their job. They're curled in, and the knees are pinching, okay? So there's a couple ways I can kill the pressure of his hooks. One is by using my elbow on their thigh. So if you guys see this, I'm putting my weight down on my elbow and on the top of his leg. Now his thigh can't follow me anymore. So now even when he stays tight with this hook, I can manipulate his hook. So go ahead and add a tiny bit of pressure. You see how much I can manipulate his hook with my leg? So the second I want to get out of this position, I can trap the top of his thigh by putting my elbow down, and now I can manipulate his hook with the top of my thigh, and I can move it. Now I can start to use my hip pressure going forward and down to try to peel this hook off. And this is without, I can do this, and I'll talk about this later. We can use hands to help peel hooks, but I want you to try to do leg work on its own. So I'm driving my weight down onto my elbow on top of their thigh, so his thigh is stuck, and I can rise their hook up, and then I'm gonna drive my hips in as I turn my hips, and I start to slide down. Now I can come off my elbow, and I can work my hips and my shoulders to the mat. But even if your partner tries to keep this bottom hook, because this is the one that's really doing most of the control, nice and tight, if I can get my elbow to wedge and my leg to lift, It's really hard because his pressure is curling down and I'm pulling his hook sideways, which naturally the leg doesn't move very well sideways in this direction. So it puts a lot of pressure on the actual hip itself. So I'm coming down and now I'm trying to fight the hooks. If I just try to rotate right here, it's not very effective. So I've got to build up tension. So I build tension by placing my forearm on the thigh, and I can do this with this grip. I'm driving onto this. So even if he keeps good head position, like I can't get my head to the mat, right? It's like, ah, dang, I can't get my shoulders down. I can still keep this pressure and this bridging pressure, and then I can start to manipulate this hook. Curl your left hook to your butt. I can manipulate by lifting and then extending. See how I'm moving that hook? And then I can start manipulating my hips out of the way, okay? So we do hand work to protect ourselves from the choke, and I want to get to this cross grip end of the lever. I want to make a great separation and just bridge, get my head to the mat. But he's doing such a good job, I just can't make that good separation. I'm still hand fighting though. Now we fall to one side. Once I'm here, I'm adding pressure with my elbow, and I'm using my hips to trap the thigh. Now I can use my leg to manipulate the height of this hook, which kind of kills that pinch by pulling the hook in a third dimension. And then I drive my stomach and my hips in, and it totally kills it. So now I'm just doing this. And even if he tries to keep his hook, try to keep that hook, again, I've got to trap it. Start adding pressure to it, adding pressure, and I kill the hook. Okay? But this is all leg work, right? Other than what I did with my elbow, that was all legs and hips. So you have to practice doing your hand work, and then you have to practice doing your leg work, and then you got to practice doing them at the same exact time. And then eventually you'll get one or the other. Okay? And I'll keep showing you examples of different styles of hand work and leg work, and then we'll have a whole seminar. That's really all it is. It's like, it's hand work, get your shoulders to the mat, leg work, get your hips to the mat. That's escaping back control. We have to stay safe and defend ourselves from the choke first, and then all you do is hand work and leg work. Until you can either get your shoulders and your chest to the mat, or you twist your hips out and you get your hips to the mat. We either kill their seatbelt or we kill the hooks, okay? Questions on leg work, the basics of it, kind of manipulating their hook. So real quick, if we switch, because I got long ass legs. So remember, I'm trying to curl my heels straight down, right? To keep the pressure, I'm pinching my knees. My hooks are strong going up and down right now like this. So when I have my seatbelt and I'm trying to attack, I'm curling this hook. So use your elbow hard on my, yep, and now raise your leg to your chest. There it is. I'm still, man, I was still curling hard, and it just killed right through it. And I'm 6'4", and I have big old college soccer player legs. So I'm good at holding back control. If I just keep my hook here and I dig my heels in, and then we fall here, and he uses that elbow and that thigh, I was curling hard. And with your partner, I want you to have your partner curl hard so that you actually practice getting out of that hook with resistance. Because this is the one I use the most. I just remove their hook with good footwork and good legs and good hips, okay? Questions on this? This is really simple, but it's very effective. And we'll show a bunch of other fun stuff later. No? All right, let's try it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the basics of back escaping is protect your neck, right? And I want a cross grip to protect my neck. I don't want a same side grip. I protect the neck, and then I either disrupt the seatbelt and I get my shoulders to the mat, or I disrupt the hooks and I get my hips to the mat. Okay, that's it. Everything else is fancy variations of that. Do the basics of back escaping make sense? Any questions on the basics before I go over like sequencing options that I use? No? Okay, so go ahead and jump on my back again. So another way to fight is to combine the two, right? So now if I get my cross grip, I fall, and I usually fall to the underhook side. I'll show you some escapes to the overhook side too. But I fall, I'm not raising my thigh down here near his knee. I want to aim it towards his foot as much as I can, and I raise it there. You can also use your hand on the outside top of their foot, so not here on the ankle, but same thing. It's not realistic to just push his foot to the mat, because if he adds a little bit of pressure, I can't push it with a little bit of pressure. So what I do is As he adds the pressure downwards, I'm going to pull my foot or my thigh straight through his foot, and I'm going to pick up his foot with my hand. Now I do the same exact pressure, and I'm out. Okay? And the beauty of this style is technically I can do this stuff not only to this bottom one, but I can push on this top hook and lift it and pull it towards me, and I can rotate because I can kill the pressure of the top hook on me too. So if he tries to keep this top hook, you can actually use your forearm and your leg together as a team to start clearing the top hook, right? If I just try to push the foot out, it's really difficult. But I could either lift his foot, I could lift his foot with my thigh and my hand, or I could do the same thing where I use that forearm and that elbow wedge on top of the thigh, and even if he tries to keep this, I can like donkey kick my thigh as I turn my hips, and now I've beaten the top hook, okay? And again, I can use that leg work and the hand work together on the bottom hook to kill that hook. So I can pull on the top hook, I can pull and lift the top hook, and then peel the hook out, and I can elbow or forearm wedge, and then I can donkey kick my thigh back. So even if he curls his heel down here, right here, I can't pull it out, so I keep turning my knee inwards, and then I donkey kick as I push with my forearm. And now I come back up, and now I have like this little shield keeping this leg away. Okay? Now the problem is the bottom hook, if he's tight with it, it still prevents me from getting my hips down to the mat. So here I'm gonna add a little bit more leg work for you guys. So I'm gonna post on this top thigh, I'm gonna start to bridge. And I don't care, he can keep his head super tight, right? So I don't care if I get my head to the mat, but what I want is I want my butt up in the air as high as I can get it. Now I can use my secondary foot to remove the hook. And now we're out and we're off to the side. On these ones, if we kind of switch back center up a little bit. On these ones, whenever you remove both hooks, so I'm here, I just donkey kicked this out. I have to remove this one. I use my elbow on his thigh and I bring my hips high, try to keep this hook. I know it's hard because it's so much movement, it's hard to keep. I put a butterfly hook in to make sure that I have space. Like here, look, this is me sliding down low. It's really difficult and I'm flexible. Some people are, if they're very flexible, they could literally like stomp the hook out. But without flexibility, you just need to push on this thigh, drive off your tiptoes, force your shoulder and your head forward, and then get your butt in the air. See how my butt's coming up? Now, I'm just backing up and putting a butterfly hook behind his leg, and then I walk through. And now we're in this position, keep the seatbelt. Now we're in this position, right, which is close to the crucifix position, which I really don't want. So what I want to do to prevent the crucifix is to wedge my elbow under his thigh here. And if he's keeping it tight, I'm gonna bridge into him to get my arm under his leg like this. Now I just pull both legs to me as I bridge, and it turns into this like double leg to get out of the position. So if you get out of both hooks and you're still struggling with the seatbelt, this is a way that we can finish it. Again, you can do the same technique we did before and add the hand for more firepower, or we can be here and I kind of forearm and elbow wedge on top of this thigh. And then as I do that, I donkey kick, and then I can keep pushing on it, and I start bridging off my toes here to get my knees down and my butt up. Now I can put a butterfly hook in. So even if he tries to keep this hook, and he keeps it, and we're here, I can use this butterfly hook to walk out. And now when he stays tight here, I've got to bridge into him to get my arm under. If he stays here, I'm in trouble. He could pull me back into stuff. Yeah, so I'm gonna drive into him and get my arm under his legs. And now I drive in like I'm finishing a double leg takedown, okay? So I'm just adding layers now to all the basic stuff that I just showed you at the beginning, all right? So you can use your hand to help you remove the bottom hook, or what we can do is we can manipulate the top hook with our hand, our forearm, and this donkey kick motion. And now what we have to do is bridge and get our butt in the sky and then place a butterfly hook and walk through, okay? Questions on this one? Questions? So we're moving the top hook this time. You can practice the bottom hook one if you want to with your hand also. But I want you to get used to pushing and then bridging all the way up to this position where your pressure's on your shoulder and your head, your butt's in the air, and your knees are pointing down towards the mat. Now you can start to place your butterfly hook and then walk through the gap. Okay? Cool? Let's try it. On 3, 1, 2, 3. This is one of my favorite escapes to learn because when you're in a position like, let's say I'm in turtle, and Mike, if you come all the way over to here to this side. So he's like attacking me in turtle. Maybe I'm like a bad white belt, and he throws his right hook in the body here, right? So he's got one hook in right now. Yeah, he could have the seatbelt. He's got one hook in. Once he gets the other one, he gets points, and then he can choke me. So what we do is the second he throws this hook in, I'm gonna intentionally dump to this side and then come back up to my knees as I keep the hook away. And now I do the same escape to force the hooks out, and now I'm back up. So this is a thing that I do. I'll show it a couple different times from a couple different angles. So throw your left foot in as your initial hook here. So he threw his left hook in. I'm blocking the second hook as I sit to my side. And then I'm gonna go back to turtle with this post here. Now look where we're at. We're in that same exact position, okay? So, and then this is the other thing that I wanted to show and say, and that's if, I'll just have him do the hook thing again. If they have this connection and we fall this way and I get my butt up and I get my butterfly and I walk out and I can't get my elbow down because I fell to this side. See how I can't really get my elbow underneath because the seatbelt's here, I'm on the choking side? What we can do from here is start reaching up and pulling our partner's head into us. So I pull on the back of his head as I run back to turtle. And then you end up in this like north-south style position. So this is gonna be kind of a twofold thing. I want you guys to practice it where they get one hook in from whatever position, like he could have a gift wrap back take or whatever it is. As I throw the one hook in, he falls to his side, prevent the second hook, and now he does leg work. Exactly. And now because he's on the choking side, he's gonna reach up and grab the back of my head and now run to turtle, pulling on my head hard. Yeah, that is. I wanna follow him, but he's yanking my head underneath me. So I'm sure some of you have heard this if you've done jiu-jitsu for a little bit, but people say like the best defense is like to not get there, right? While people are taking your back, don't laugh. While people are taking your back, if you start your back escape sequence before they set the full hooks, 10 times easier. And then obviously in tournaments, you don't get points scored on you. But if someone throws a hook in, obviously you worry about the choke. But if they only have one hook, you can do this sequence right away. You kind of get them off of you, and then you come back up to turtle. And now we do that leg work to slide through. And again, if they're on that top side, the arm that would usually go under their legs, now I'm gonna reach up, grab the back of their head like a collar tie, and pull it into me. And as I do that, I'm gonna go right back to turtle, all the way to my knees, okay? Makes it extremely hard for people to follow you through, and then it feels like you're like doing like an overhead like judo throw at the end of it. It's kind of how the finishing part feels, okay? Questions on this? Doing the same leg work with one hook, and then also when you fall towards the choking arm, instead of running towards their legs, we pull the head and we run to turtle. Questions on that? Yeah. So if he does it to this side, his right arm's gonna be like, no, throw your right arm in, because it's right arm and it's right foot hook, right? So as I fall to the side here, I'm gonna keep all this same stuff, whereas the second my butt touches, I don't let the second hook come in, I block it. Obviously be careful, you don't want him to trap it with his leg, like, yeah, you don't want that. So I'm on top of his thigh here, and I push myself back into turtle. Now again, I use my butt, I use whatever I can, get my hips high to do this butterfly hook, and I walk through the gap. But now, his arm is under my armpit, so to get under his leg is rough. So instead of doing that, I reach back, I cup the back of his head, and I pull his head into me tight. And now I turn to turtle. And then I'm gonna start attacking him from here with whatever attacks I know how to do from north-south. Okay. Questions? So it's like adding one layer. So now they have one hook. Now you're fighting the second hook off, and we're practicing the second part of the escape, which is pulling on the head and running the turtle. Okay? Let's try it on 3. 1, 2, 3. But he's on my back. He has hooks. Like I said, I'm usually using handwork, leg work, or a combination of the two, which is what you should be doing, to get out any way I can, right? Getting my shoulders and my hips to the mat. One of the ways to fuck with people, so to speak, is to try to attack them while you're in this position, okay? My coach would do this all the time, and it was, you reach back, and you can actually pull on the underhook. You have to be very careful because the whole time they could be going for chokes, right? But I try to pull their underhook arm deep, and I wedge my elbow, and now I just push on their thumb. And you have like a really cheeky, stupid arm bar. All right? So you're here, you're on the seatbelt. One of the ways that I'll actually end up doing this is like if they have their hands connected, and I try to break the grip, and the arm kind of stretches, now I have it. And then they can go for the choke at the same time, and I'll win this race. I'm just wedging this. The point of my elbow is on the mat, and then I'm just pushing down on their thumb, okay? So like I said at the initial part with like the handwork, where I'm looking for my cross grip, I'm looking to fight my hand inside. This is an opportunity where I push, he doesn't let go, fine. There's a cheeky little arm bar. And guess what? Most of the time when you do this type of step, when I go like this, everyone knows you're gonna do the arm bar. He pulls his arm out. We go right back to running our hips and our shoulders to the mat, which is really the reason I do this, which is I want you to move. I want to feel you react and freak out and pull away, and then I go and I try to go right back to my escaping, okay? So this is a very simple one. Like I said, if you have the length or you're just in the position, you just catch their elbow and you pull it into your ribs, and you just push on their thumb, and you get a tap. The only downside, again, is when I start doing this, if I'm not defending, he's going to go for the choke. But if he doesn't know how to do a one-handed choke, I can win that battle, okay? It's a really stupid armbar. The second one is if your partner is dumb and they don't know jiu-jitsu and they do this for their rear naked choke, where he goes to choke and you grip their hand. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn him intentionally palm up. So I'm gonna grab it and roll it so that his palm's towards the sky, and I pull it into my shoulder. He has a very easy way out of this, and that's he's gonna take his elbow and move it sideways. And when he does, I'm going to sit forward and I'm going to bridge my shoulders to the mat. So if anyone ever does this for their rear naked choke, where they leave the hand on top of the head, you see it sometimes in MMA, you see it in movies all the time, where as people go for the choke, they do this. As you pull it down, you just grab and you lift your shoulder up, creating a new wedge. And you turn them palm up and you pull down. And if I start to do this and he moves his elbow, I take all that space with my neck. So as I'm trying to do this and he moves, I take all that space and I force my shoulders back down to the mat, okay? This is the same thing when, go ahead and keep your hooks. Do the seatbelt on the other side real quick. When I fall to the choking side, you can pull on the back of people's arm and, sorry, I should have said it was gonna wrist lock him. I pulled on the back of his elbow, and then I pulled up on his wrist, and then I went for the wrist lock. If you came to my wrist lock seminar, I teach how to do this from basically like every position. But if you fall to the choking side, whether it's your choice or theirs, go ahead and do it again. He has his seatbelt here, and I'm fighting the choking arm. I bridge towards the choking side as I pull down on his bicep, and then I just look for my wrist locks. And again, guess what happens when I fight anyone that's even half decent at jiu-jitsu is as they feel me do this, they start to pull their arm backwards, and then I fight again to force my shoulders down to the mat. Because my end goal is just escape. I don't really care if I get the sub, they're funny, but I don't need them, okay? So I can wedge the underhook arm and arm bar. If they do a bad rear naked choke, you can just pull down against your own shoulder, and you can wrist lock people on the choking side. So when they have their seatbelt, when their elbow touches the ground, you grab their wrist, you pull up until your palm is over their knuckle line, and then you push down to finish it. So you pull up, then you go over the knuckle line, and then you push down, and you have a wrist lock. And most people will retract their arm, and then you get out of back control again, okay? Questions on these ones? No? Real quick, just so you guys know, I'm sure a lot of people have heard this, don't cross your ankles, right? Because you can ankle lock people. All you have to do is lock a triangle choke over their legs, and then you hip into it, right? I start driving my hips in and extending, and we get the tap. This does work. It doesn't work on everyone, and it's very, very risky because there's a lot of me using my own hands to lace this position up. You can still do it. What I would rather say is if you get used to wedging people with your forearm and pulling on the foot, it makes it really easy to escape. Because some people, like if we switch real quick, and he tries to do this ankle lock to me because I cross my ankles, I don't tap to this one. So you can hip in. So I just don't tap to it because usually when I cross my ankles, my feet aren't dangling. I flex the top of my ankle here. So the second he crosses over, I flex, and now I'm still good here. And I'm gonna be choking him, and he's gonna be trying to hip in to finish this, and it's gonna give me the choke. So what I would rather see is some combination of using his thigh and his hand to pull up on my foot, and then just rotate. Yeah. Because when people cross their ankles, they lose a lot of the curl of the back control. So while, yes, you can do the ankle lock, there's nothing wrong with it, some people won't tap to it. I just won't. And it doesn't hurt me, and when it does hurt, I have your back, so I'm just not gonna let go. I'm gonna keep going for the choke. You'd have to like break my ankle. So it works, but not on everyone. It's easier if you see crossed ankles, rather than go for the sub, just get out. They lost the curl of their heels coming to their butt for control. So just use the step one that I taught today, where we're like using our thigh, and then you use your hand on the hook, and then you just twist out, okay? Questions on any of these subs or the crossed ankles thing? No. Stupid subs to get them to let go. So again, bite the bottom arm, straight arm bar, pull down on the rear naked choke, get your shoulders to the mat, and finally you fall to the choking side, pulling on their arm, pushing on their wrist. And when they react, just get your shoulders to the mat, because they're gonna pull backwards, and then that's our escape now, okay? Let's try it on 3, 1, 2, 3. Do we all know what pancaking is? Like the worst thing that can happen to you in fighting. I don't want to do it to Mike because he'll die, so I'm gonna have him do it to me. It's if I'm in turtle, Mike gets both of his hooks in, and then not going for chokes, but especially if he can be like underneath my body or both hands on one of my forearms, but underneath, yeah, like this. Now he just drives his hips in and he starts donkey kicking his legs down to add pressure, and now he just keeps the pressure and he goes for chokes from here. Yeah. Horrible position. If he's allowed to punch me, I'm super screwed. If he's allowed to choke me, I'm screwed. So in MMA, in jiu-jitsu, it's like probably the worst position in all of fighting. In MMA, they ban hits to the back of the head because of how much brain damage it does. Imagine if you were in a real fight and you pancake someone and they can't move. If you wanted to hit them in the back of the head or go for a choke, you could deal some serious damage to someone. So this to me is the worst position in all of fighting, is getting pancaked. It's they're on your back and they hip into your lower back. And then all of a sudden you like can't breathe because they're like pushing into your diaphragm and your stomach. You're like, oh my God, this is horrible. Okay. So we'll talk about this position for a sec. So I'll do it without him first. As I'm getting pancaked, my goal is, I'm getting flattened. My goal is going to be to get into this position initially, and then I'm gonna start backing up, okay? So if Mike jumps on my back here, as I'm getting pancaked, I'm gonna turn a little bit towards one side, so he starts pancaking me. If I stay flat, I'm screwed. So I'm gonna start extending one leg and bringing it towards my other foot, and then lifting the other leg up. And then I start removing the bottom hook. Now I'm basically gonna be forcing myself out, and I removed that bottom hook already, so now I'm gonna start turning, and I'm gonna escape however I need to escape after that. But what I'm trying to do is bring my feet together and then raise one leg up. So as he's on top here, go ahead, do it again. As he's on top and he hips in here, I can't just turn to my side from here. Just rotating is not good enough. So I straighten the leg and I bring it to the other leg. And now I lift my knee up, and that's what lets me start to turn and actually get out of this space. But I can't be here and then just like rotate if they're hipping in. I straighten and I bring them together, and now I can start to rotate toward the other side. And now we're doing all the other stuff we just worked on to help us get out of the position. But it's a very weird circumstance. As you're flattened out, if we pretend that I was just flattened out right now, I have to like donkey kick and stomp, and then I move my thigh sideways. That's what lets me start to rotate. And a lot of people, which is kind of weird, I won't actually put my weight on you, but go ahead and go to turtle. But a lot of people, when they're here as the person doing the pancaking, they're kicking down so hard that when he kicks himself, when he extends his leg and he moves his thigh sideways, it removes my hook as he falls. So without me fully crushing him, if I start to do this, so as I flatten him out, you're gonna straighten one of your legs and then just bring both your legs over one ankle and then turn. Yeah, see that? It started to pull me out, and now exactly, we're right back to doing leg work and hand work. So same thing, face the other direction. So as I'm getting my hooks in and I start pressing into him and he flattens out here, he straightens his leg, brings both of them over one ankle, and now I'm trying to keep my hook, and as he falls to the side, I start to lose it, and then he goes right back into that battle. So you can't let people fully pancake you. You have to basically try to extend and then bring your legs off to one side, and then you lift one knee to your chest and you rotate. And you'll actually get out of this position quite easily. It's kind of funny. Getting pancake is the worst position in fighting, but if you know what you're doing, it's actually kind of easy to prevent. As they're flattening you out, you extend that leg and bring your legs together, and it'll kill one of their hooks as you start turning and lifting your knee to your chest. Okay? Any questions on defending the pancake? Because you have to know how to defend this to do some of the next stuff that I'm going to show. Questions? Stomp your leg and then swing your thighs together, and then you can start to turn and lift your knee to your chest, and it's going to naturally remove a hook. Okay? If you want to pancake someone, you put your hooks in. You don't want to fall off the top. You want to you face this way. As I throw both my hooks in, I don't want to fall off the top, so I don't want to be over the top looking for chokes. I want to be under his armpits, pulling on one or two forearms and curling my wrists forward and pulling them into his stomach as I start to kick backwards and I start to hip in. Now he starts to extend. Yeah, see, he's already turning out of the pancake position, and he's already fighting out of this hook. So now exactly, he does some leg work from earlier in the seminar, and he's good to go. Okay. Questions on the pancake? Last second stuff? No.
So bringing the legs together,
And then you can rotate.
So it doesn't matter how I'm rotating?
Once you straighten one leg and you kind of swing it into your other leg, you start the rotation immediately, and it's going to peel the hook out naturally. Yeah, it's the same thing. Go ahead and jump on my back. I'm going to big man you for a sec, so go ahead. Okay, so grab your seatbelt. Okay, watch. If he's here and he stays here with the hooks and he doesn't do anything with them, it's difficult for me to remove hooks. If you start curling and extending your legs, you see how that kicked the hook out? So again, bring your hooks in. Here he does nothing. Donkey kicking doesn't do a lot. If he starts curling and extending, when I donkey kick and twist, it removes the hook. So when he's here to break me down as a big guy, he could choke me obviously, right? But to break me down, he wants to catch an arm, and then he's gonna start kicking. So as he kicks, I dump my thigh, and immediately I donkey kick my own leg backwards, and then I twist quickly, and it removes the hooks kind of on their own. So when they want to put good hip pressure in, they curl their legs in and they kick themselves, and then we're going to kick also, and it just strips the hook right away. But if you do nothing, they're going to flatten you out, and it's going to suck really, really bad, which is what a lot of people do. Making sense? Yeah. All right, let's try it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's do a little bit of body triangle stuff, which I know I'm going to have to talk Mike through it because I don't think anyone in here can body triangle me. So same principles though, okay? So when we are removing the regular hooks, remember I was talking about using my thighs and my hands. So when he puts in regular hooks, I was talking about rather than trying to push the hook out to the ground, I can do stuff like scoop the hook up towards my chest, which puts a lot of pressure on the outside of his knee, and it makes it hard for him to hold on to, and I can slide out, okay? So using that same concept, if I take Mike's back here, when I lock a body triangle, which is just the triangle choke across the torso, here, this outside foot is the foot that he wants to do this with. So what he's gonna do is he's gonna kind of kick his left leg straight behind him, like stomp backwards, and then use the top of your thigh to scoop my heel up and pull it towards your chest. Keep pulling, and then keep pulling it up with your hands, yep. And now keep pulling it, keep pulling it, keep pulling it up, and now start rotating. Check it out, yes, exactly, okay? This is like one of the most basic body triangle escapes in jiu-jitsu, and that is, as they lock the triangle, if we wait here for a sec, if you try to rotate just right here without doing anything, it can hurt your ribs and your stomach if you got a big strong guy like me on the back. So this is an easy way to deal with it, is as they lock the triangle, get your knee behind that heel. And if they're hiding it, you have to learn to turn and scissor kick your legs like this. Yep, kick right through, there you go. Now use your thigh and your hand together to lift my ankle up. Yes, now he can start rotating towards me. Exactly. And technically, this same leg work and footwork works if it was just like crossed ankles, like I said earlier. If I was just crossing my ankles and he couldn't ankle lock me, he can use his thigh and his hand together to pull my foot towards his face and then just start rotating. Because it kills my curling of the legs, okay? Another option for defeating the body triangle is what you're gonna do is you're gonna put your elbow right here on the inside of my knee, and then you're gonna take your hand and cup your own thigh. So do this, yeah. Now pull your own thigh to your chest as you flare your elbow into my knee, yeah. Okay, so as I lock the triangle, he adds a bunch of pressure here onto the inside of my knee, and instead of using his arm to push my knee out of the way, he's gonna pull his knee to his face like a strike, yeah. And it like ankle locks me, and I have to release the triangle, okay? Do those two make sense before I get into some of the more complicated rotational escapes? Yeah. So this is like the very basic, someone locks a body triangle on you, and especially people do this all the time. I'll do this and I'll hook. So he's gonna learn to, yes, use the scissor kick of his legs to break free and get his foot behind my heel. So he uses his thigh and his hands together as a team to pull my foot to his chest, and then he just starts turning like a rotisserie chicken. He's out. Okay? And again, the second one, his elbow is gonna wedge on the inside of my knee here, and he's gonna palm his own thigh, and then he's gonna basically like knee strike his own chest. Yeah, it just pulls my hook right out. Remember, anytime you do this stuff, you have to protect your neck at the same time. Okay, you can't just bring both your hands down and fuck with their feet, they're gonna choke you. That's the benefit of the body triangle, is once I lace the body triangle, I can choke him with both arms now. And if he tries to just get his shoulders to the mat without doing any of the fancy shit, it's hard. So I don't need my seatbelt to hold this anymore. I can choke here, and if he defends this, I can choke here. This is why the body triangle is so strong, which is why everyone should practice defending it. Even if you don't have long legs, this part you should practice, okay? Questions on these two, the basic ones? And remember, if you're struggling, you have to learn to turn your hips. I'll show this by myself real quick. You have to learn to turn your hips sideways, scissor kick, scissor kick. I turn my hips sideways, and I'm doing opposites, right? As one foot goes forward, the other goes back. This puts a lot of pressure on people's body triangle. So even if they're trying to hold that foot behind your knee, your goal is not to stay flat and then just try to use your thigh. Your goal is to rotate your hips and then start scissor kicking to get your thigh under their heel. And now you use your thigh to pick their foot up, and then you use your hand as a support, and then you just spin in place. Cool? Let's try them, guys. On 3, 1, 2, 3. If you need me to body triangle you because you can't. So this is something that I was talking to when I was teaching an MMA class the other night. I was talking to people that don't do jiu-jitsu, and I tried to keep it as basic as I could. And I was talking about how when you're doing MMA, you have the wall, right? And I use the demonstration of the pole, which is, imagine like you're a bear in the woods and you're using your back to scratch a tree, right? They're pushing into the tree and then they're scratching their back. When you're doing MMA, you can use the wall to escape back control by pushing into the wall as hard as you can and then turning to face your partner, and the wall will be used to scrape them off of your back, like you have an itch on your back and you're like a bodybuilder that can't reach your back, okay? So you can use the wall in MMA to do that. In jiu-jitsu, we can't use the wall for the majority of jiu-jitsu tournaments. There's no cage and everything, right? But you can use the ground the exact same way. But it's harder because in jiu-jitsu, our whole focus is to stay on the back. So I call this a rotational escape. Some people have specific names for it, but sometimes you have to roll like 2, 3, 4, 5 times to escape back control doing this. But what we're going to do is I'm going to start rotating while he's on my back. So I'll try to start over on this side just so you guys can see. But remember, if I go to turtle completely, he can pancake me if I stay there. So I'm not going to pause when I get to turtle because I don't want to get pancaked, right? So I'm locking myself down, and switch your seatbelt real quick. Yeah. So I'm locking myself down until I feel safe, right? I'm protecting myself from the chokes. And now I'm coming up, and now I'm going to start turning my hips over to go to turtle with that same like scissor kick motion, right? And then I'm going to start forcing my head and my torso down. You can drive off your toes really hard to help you get up, but I'm going to keep rotating as I do this. So I'm coming up, and he's going to be following me on this, right? Right here, if I pause, I'm going to get pancaked. So I keep going, and then I scissor kick again. See what it did? So I did one scissor kick to get to turtle, and I did another one in the middle of the roll, and it undid the pressure of his hooks. So again, I'm here. In a perfect world, by the way, this would work when you disconnect their hands, and then you'd start doing this sequence. You roll, and you'd start scissor kicking. But even if the hands are still connected, and I just have a good brace against this, I'm going towards the underhook side. And now again, if I need help getting to turtle, I will do an initial scissor kick, and then I'll drive off my feet, and I'll try to bring my forehead forward. And now we're going to keep rolling and turning. And now right here, as I turn, I'm going to scissor kick again. And now he's a little bit off center, but I'm going to keep going. And now he's even more off center. So what ends up happening is as you rotate, you continuously scissor kick to turn yourself. And if they're just trying to hold on to you like a backpack, eventually there's going to be a moment where you can act like you're the bear with the tree, and you can use the ground to just kind of scrape them off of you. And of course, if you are actually doing MMA or doing jiu-jitsu inside of a cage, you can literally use the cage to do this very similar thing where you use the cage to scrape them off of you. But for this one, it's mainly, he's on my back already, and there's friction there. So right here, I can't just drive backwards and then scrape him off me because there's so much connection. So right now, I can't scrape. So what I have to do is I have to get him into a position where he's following me, then I scrape. And to do that, I'm going to have to go all the way to turtle and then some. And sometimes it could be 2, 3 rolls out. So I keep myself safe. And now again, I start turning, and I want to get to turtle, so I'm going to do my first scissor kick. So I scissor, and then I start turning to turtle. And as I face the other direction, I'm going to scissor kick again to try to loosen up his legs and face him. So initially, I scissor kick to help me get up. I turn, I scissor kick right here. And then I turn again. And now I'm coming up into him. And I'm telling you, even if people hold on to you tight, you can get out like this. And the other benefit of this is, let me take your back real quick. If you fight a big person or someone that can body triangle you, you can do the exact same escape. Well, I'll do it without the body triangle first, just so he can feel it, right? So I always go to the underhook side when I do this one. So we're going to fall this way, scissor kick to go to turtle, and I come up, keep going, scissor kick again. See, he did it. He already removed my hooks. I'm going to keep adjusting them. Go to turtle again, turtle all the way over. Yeah, scissor kick again. Yeah, see, so I'm trying to keep my control, and the whole time, he continuously rolls and scissor kicks, rolls and scissor kicks. So as long as you understand that, if we can reset over here, as long as you understand that for this rotational escape, you can actually escape the body triangle the same way. I'm trying not to put it on too tight. But right here, he's going to scissor kick and go to turtle. So scissor, go to turtle, yep, build up, and then scissor kick again. And then keep going, keep turtling. There it is. See that? On the movement, on the rotation, the second scissor kick got me. Not the first one, the second one, because he's using the ground to scrape me off his back continuously as I try to follow up and stay attached to my partner. So that's why I use that metaphor of using the wall. or the bear, because really the reason you're getting them off is because you keep scissor kicking and rotating, but mainly because you keep pushing your partner into the ground and they just can't stay behind you because you keep pushing them into the ground as you scissor kick and rotate. I just call it a rotational escape, but it works with hooks and it even works with the body triangle. And especially if you're in nogi. It works in the gi too, but especially if you're in nogi and you're both a little sweaty, this one's really hard to stay on people's back for. Okay. Questions on the rotational escaping? Scissor kicking, facing the ground, turning all the way over, scissor kicking again. No. Find your space to do this one, because sometimes it takes 2 or 3 full like rotational cycles before you can actually remove the hooks. Okay? Let's try it. On 3, 1, 2, 3, regroup. Okay, hey, I had a question about this, and I know a lot of people train in the gi also. This is just something to think about when you're defending the back in the gi. Go ahead and take my back. So, right, in nogi, they got to get all the way around your neck for like a real rear naked choke. In the gi, they just need a collar grip, and right here he can choke me, right? Especially if he goes to the far collar, and now he starts stretching, doing attacks, or if he grabs my leg for like the bow and arrow, right? He starts doing that. So very commonly, people are here, and this is just something you should realize. If you pull on your own lapel, which I see people do all the time, if he tries to make a tight fist, it's going to be difficult for him to choke me. But I don't like ever doing this, because when people do this to me, I will give up on choking them with the lapel, and I'll go to a rear naked choke. So just start going for like a regular rear naked. And then when they come up to defend, I'll go back to the lapel. You see what I mean? So I even know black belts that do this. They go like this, and they're like, haha, you can't choke. Yeah. And then you get choked. So just so you know, this might stall you for a couple seconds. You can do it, but if someone's doing that to you, don't worry about it. Go for the lapel. When they pull on it, let it go and just rear naked choke. When they go back to your hand, just feed back to the lapel. It's like a little game of like cat and mouse a little bit, okay? So that's one thing. 2 is when people make the initial grip, I'm always, if I can't break it, right, I'm always looking to turn towards my partner and pull their arm down and forward. So now when he goes to finish this choke, my head comes through the gap as I go through. Or I want to fight to get my middle finger and my ring finger inside his hand like this. So as he's here, I'm fighting to get this inside, and this is what kills the choke. I don't ever want to pull on a gi choke from here. I want to go through my middle finger and my ring, go right inside where his index finger meets the bones in his middle palm of his hand. Okay, so I'm always doing this. I don't really want to pull here. I'm always here. He asked a question about bow and arrow stuff. Whenever people grab my leg for a bow and arrow, if you can pull your head down to the mat, that's great. This is what I do. When people bow and arrow me, I pull my knee to my nose and both hands grab and pull down. And I break the leg grip, and then I keep this and I run and I start the same rotational escape that I just taught you guys. So I usually don't get caught with bow and arrows, because even if they make a good choking grip, right, the whole point of the gi is if he reaches and grabs here, this stops me from rotating towards the choke. If he does nothing with this arm, so let go with the bottom arm, if he does nothing and I stay here and he starts pulling back, I'm going to start to get choked. But if he starts pulling and I turn with it, I end up in his guard. So now whenever people bow and arrow you, just because this is so common, and I can't break here and I can't pull this over, and he grabs my knee, I pull my knee to my chest. As the pressure's building, I kick, and then I start my rotational escapes. And I'll do the turtle thing, and I'll start rolling people over before they can make a secondary grip again. But one gi grip is not a problem. The second grip is where the danger happens at. I'm always addressing the grip as early as I can, but as they're reaching, I'm always trying to address this and do this early. But if he really gets this, and then he starts going for my pants, I'm here. Pull my knee to my face, I grab, I hold on to it tight, I use my forearm and my elbow, and then I kick, and then immediately I just start my rotational stuff, okay? So I just wanted to throw that in there because I know we don't have our gis on, but it's so common when people are on your back in the gi. It's all the same principles apply, but be aware the bow and arrow does fuck a lot of that up, so you need to learn to pull your knee to your chest and load it, and then kick through to get out of that. Does that make sense though? And see how that adds on to that rotational escape that we just used? That kind of makes sense, like a 1-2 punch, right? So we did the rotational escape. So the next thing that we're going to work is this. Whenever I'm here, and we worked this one already, right? I push on the top leg, and my butt goes up. I can use this butterfly hook, and I can run through. You can also do this, where when he keeps this tight, let's say for whatever reason I can't force this butterfly hook. Obviously, to make it work, I'm going to keep pushing on his leg, getting my butt into the air, and now I can force it to work. But if he keeps this one really tight, you can actually get on your tiptoes and bridge and force yourself to the far side. And now you've escaped the back control without using the butterfly hook. So I'll do this again, get a little closer to this side so you guys can see. So I start the same escape. I think Adam Rudzinski calls this like the jumping escape. But I post the top of the thigh. If it's in the gi, I'm going to grab his pants right here, right? I push down as I start removing this hook. In a perfect world, obviously, I'm just going to do this butterfly hook and run through the gap. But he's tight here, and for whatever reason, I can't. So now I'm going to keep driving onto my head. I'm going to put pressure into it, and then I'm going to initiate, like I'm going to do a forward roll, but I'm going to bridge off my feet and send my butt over the top. And even if he kept that hook, now I'm so far off to the side that I can just start pressuring into him and like backing my butt up. And now I'm like doing like reverse half guard passing and I'm like stomping through hooks and everything. So if we switch real quick just so that they can see this done to a bigger boy. So we're here, we fall, he uses his elbow or his hand and he starts moving his butt up. Now I take this hook real deep, so he's struggling with the butterfly hook. So he gets his butt high, and now, because especially if I like lock my legs, now you're gonna bridge and send yourself all the way to the far side. Send yourself all the way over, all the way up. There you go, yeah, now we're scrambling. Exactly. So it's just another version of leg work to get out of this position. So one more time. I'm attacking. He pushes on the thigh. There's a little leg work. He tries to do the butterfly thing. It doesn't work. So now he gets his butt high and he bridges to the far side. Yeah, there he is. And now he's just undone all of that work again. So this is with a jumping escape. That's what people call it. This is Adam Rudzinski. Give him credit for this. Questions on this one?
So you want to spend extra time to clear that knee so you're in a better position on.
Yeah, the same way that we would initially kill that hook to do the butterfly one, where we get our butt up and then we put the butterfly hook in and we step through. I'm just gonna bring my butt up and then I'm gonna do this and send my butt like I'm doing a forward roll. I'm just gonna bridge over their knee. Yeah, I don't need it like fully. I need the hook out, but once my forearm is here, I'm just gonna jump all the way to that far side. I get my butt really high, and then you push off your toes like you're doing a miniature forward roll.
So don't waste time trying to get that knee clear. Just go
Nope. Yeah, the second my butt is up, and I've already done this, the knee can be right here. I'm still gonna bridge and send myself over the top. And now you're like fighting in this like weird reverse half guard, reverse side control position. Yeah. But again, much better than being in back control. Right? Questions on this? No. Let's try it on 3. 1, 2, 3. If you win the hand fight battle, obviously we can throw our shoulders to the mat. There's another fun way to get out of the back control from here. So I find the wrist, the thumb, the fingers, the knuckles of the choking arm, right? Remember, don't grab up here. I find that position of the choking arm, and then I use my shoulder as I push to fight inside, and I've disconnected his hands. With his hands disconnected, I'm gonna sit up and pull both feet to my chest. I'm gonna sit as far forward as my body will allow me. And now, when he tries to retake the seatbelt or tries to choke me, climb up, choke. So he can't get any closer. And if he did get any closer, what'll happen is if he's very flexible, his knees will flare even more, and whatever side he comes towards, I'll just remove that secondary hook. Like, if he came towards my right side, I would throw the left hook out. So if he started climbing up towards his shoulder, trying to choke me, like really high, I throw that hook out, and now we're just working the very similar fashion. So this comes from a regular seatbelt position. He's got his regular hooks in, and I win the hand fight. So I get inside, I make a key lock, I fight my head like a shield inside, whatever. I need his hands disconnected, okay? You could even wait for them to go for a choke. I do this all the time, and then I just peel it off. Now I'm ready to go. I try to separate, I get my shoulder in, I sit forward, I grab the sides and the outsides of both feet, and I pull them all the way up into my chest, and I lean my chest onto his feet. And now, as he goes to pull himself back close or pull me back, it will pull one of his hooks out. And then we start fighting again. I can get my butt in the air, I can escape that way, I can pull up on the bottom foot and move out that way, whatever. But I've heard it called the parachute escape because it's almost like you're holding on to like the parachute straps as you're about to jump out of the plane. It's my parachute straps. It's holding their feet as high as I can, okay? So while you're here, I disconnect, I sit forward, and I parachute. I'm good to go. He can climb towards my back and try to choke me as much as he wants. As long as I stay seated forward, he can't do anything to me. And if I'm small enough to where he pulls me back, he still can't choke me because now I can start removing hooks and rotating, okay? So you just need to make sure you keep their feet like close to your chest and your stomach, and you're using your abs to crunch forward as you pull on the feet. You just hang out until they move, and then you just remove one hook, and we start escaping. The old parachute escape. And then lastly, I'll talk about, I'll just talk about this right now, and then we'll do our last thing for drilling. If I can disconnect, I can parachute, right? If I can disconnect, I can get my shoulders to the mat. If I can manipulate the bottom hooks, I can get my hips to the mat. Something else to worry about, and this is something that I do almost every time I fight people, is I trap people's arms with my legs like this, and then I go for chokes, okay? There's a couple tricks to this. One is, however he does it, if he got my arm low, even if he got me low into his lap like this, while he's digging it in, before it's fully trapped, if I bring my shoulder forward, it ruins his ability to curl and trap. Because he needs the back of his knee either wrapped on my bicep or wrapped on the top of my shoulder. So as I raise my shoulder up, it ruins the trap. So look at how as my shoulder sinks backwards, this trap is like super strong. He's got nice little arm bars, triangles. He can go back to rear naked chokes. As I use my shoulder and I push it forward, trap my arm with your foot. See how my shoulder is pointed forward really hard? So when people go to trap, yeah, you can fight with your arm. I first fight with my shoulder, okay? Even if the arm is trapped, I'll turn my thumb down and I use my shoulder to fight out of the trap. And now I'm gonna keep it away. But if he gets back to the trap again, shoulder forward, shoulder up. And now I'm here and I'm fighting. If he gets all the way into the trap, I'm turning my thumb all the way down. I go behind his heel, just like we did all that like scissor kicking with our legs. I'm kind of like scissor kicking my shoulder, going backwards, forwards. All right? And as a final resort, if you really can't do that, I will lean my head back and throw myself into arm bars intentionally. Because what I don't want to do is let him trap my arm like this and then have him go for a choke. This is the worst. Because now you're in like the worst scenario. I would rather fight out of an arm bar and start hitchhiking and start fighting out of arm bars than rear naked chokes. Because rear nakeds are way more effective. Okay? But as just a generic tip for dealing with people that like to trap arms, it's a lot of it has to do with the shoulder. Like even if he put your foot on my hip and kick me down low, push me down, now try to trap. You see how much of a problem I'm making it for him? The second I do this, even if I defend the chokes, the trap is like nice and easy for him. So I'm here. See that even with my arm trapped, you use your heel, like curl your heel straight backwards, like curl it down, thumb, shoulder, and I'm back. This is just like another layer of back defense stuff. Because I have to be able to do this stuff to get to all the back escapes that we just worked, okay? Questions on clearing the trapped arm or the parachute escape? No? All right, let's try these as the final things. We'll take a picture and we'll head out. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Can I choke you for a second? And he's behind me, and he goes for the traditional lapel choke, which is one choking grip over the top, and then the second lapel like this. I go to this hand. You see what I mean? So grab it again. I have access to his pinky, the base of his pinky here. You see the meat of his hand right here? If you can pull your head out of this gap, then you can get out every time, but anyone good, they won't let you. So I focus on the supporting hand. I pull down on the gi, but I'm pulling up on his hand. Now he can choke me as hard as he wants. He's pulling me into that rotational escape step, right? So if they do grab the secondary lapel and they lock their hands in place and you can't break their grips, you're gonna end up tapping. So attack right here at the base of their hand. This is true, just grab my collar right now. This is true also right here. I could go through and grab people's thumb, but more so I like to grab their pinky and turn it out. So like standing, there's a thing in judo that people will do where they'll kind of load their hand next to their lapel and they'll wait for people to grab and they'll break it, like rather than doing this, like that's always taught they want to do, they'll get ready to go through the pinky because that's where the hand is weak. So same thing when he's going for this little lapel choke here and he makes this grip. I want to break this one, but it's not working. I'm going to go here. You see how I just pulled them apart? Yeah. But it's because I'm at the base of the hand near the pinky, which is also true if you're on the back and you're trying to hold their hand, like for control, you would want to grab the base of their pinky finger and squeeze it as hard as you can, because it makes your, the point of your elbow super weak. So like you can't stretch real hard, you can't pull hard. So you always want to grab this part of their hand when you're attacking people, and vice versa. If he makes that secondary grip, I'm gonna like lift it up and pry it upwards. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What about the one behind the head too?
So the behind the head one, so he makes the one choking grip. So make the one lapel and now like karate chop upwards, then go behind the head. I go for the secondary hand on this one. So I just peel the thumb out, like the same way I would if he was doing a rear naked choke. I need to pull the secondary hand out first and then peel the primary hand out. So if they were in the gi and he makes this collar grip and he goes under my arm and behind my head, I can't break the collar grip here. I've got to get to this secondary hand and force it out. And now again, he has no ability to stop my rotation while I'm controlling the supporting hand. But on every choke, for the most part, the supporting hand is going to like lock it in place and finish the choke. So you need to find a way to deal with people's supporting hand. So like if I go to do a regular rear naked choke, while I do know how to finish one-handed rear naked chokes, usually it's my second hand securing it. So he just needs to pull down the supporting hand. Now he's pretty much safe, right? So same thing if we were doing like lapel stuff, here's the choke, but he's not gonna get tapped until I stop his rotation with this hand. It could be with this, and I just choke tight like this. It could be the bow and arrow, where I grab his pin. It could be the far lapel. But he needs to destroy my supporting hand. Does that make sense? Yeah, you need to disrupt their supporting hand.
So the supporting hand kind of locks everything in.
Correct.
But until you dealt with that, you don't have the ability. So how are you defending until I get that ability to rotate out?
Well, initially, we're always keeping the choking hand away, which is why I said, if he's on my back here, both hands are dealing with the choking hand until I can get this cross grip. But if he gets that arm up there, I still have to fight for this. But if he gets the second hand up there, I'm going right to the second hand. I will not touch the primary hand again until I'm ready to go, until I have it back to the cross grip, and then we go. But that's why this is the neutral. But in the gi and in no gi, once they start choking, the other hand is the fucking problem here. Now I have to deal with this hand first, and then do this.
So we're just trying to enter the choke while you're going for a second hand, you get that and start on rotation.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. And it's always, that's why I said, like, step one on all back escapes is defend the choke. And you want it to where, go ahead and go for the choke. Initially pulling it down, it'll be with the same side, but to keep it in front of me, it's going to be a cross. Now I have a free hand. I could also do this and just do really good elbow and leg work, right? But I could also reach down and do this, but this is what I'm going to keep with. The second he goes back to choking, he breaks through. Now I throw the secondary hand. Now I have to go back to the primary hand, keep it with a cross grip. I'm ready to escape again. But I won't even try to escape until I get back to that secure, okay, I'm not being choked anymore. Now I can work on escaping kind of position. Yeah. And again, if he just connects his hands and he's not going for a choke, I'm always going to try to fight inside and start to apply pressure like this. Because now, whenever he wants to go for the choke, he has to disconnect his hands, and I'm already in the middle of, I can parachute, I can do whatever I want. So I'm always trying to get to this and then use my shoulder and fight inside. Now, he's really screwed in terms of getting, Because even if I lost this grip, now getting to the choke, I have a secondary hand in place that can start me getting ready to parachute or get ready to get my shoulders to the mat. So the neutral game is defend the choke and try to fight inside. I'm ready to go now. I can do any escape I want now. I could come back down, I could come here and come in front and pick it up, I could pull up, I could start rotational escaping. I feel great. When they're going for the chokes, I'm always focused on peeling it off and then here, but if it's secure, I've got to get to that secondary hand. That's the primary focus, and then the primary hand, and then we're back to here. And then yeah, things do change in the gi because they don't need the gi grip as deep as the rear naked choke and nogi. They can just grab the lapel, which is why we have to address the secondary hand accordingly, whether they go to the pants or the far lapel or whatever. Cool. Make sense? Any other questions on back escape stuff before we take a little picture and head on out? All right, guys, good shit. Go ahead and line up under the flag real quick.